Welcome, everybody, to episode 17. Who knew we'd ever get to 17 of Netflix Weekly?
Say that
I am your host, Rob, and with me, as always, is
Phil.
That's right.
Phil guy from Kingston.
The Phil guy. Yeah. Guy who gets filled.
Yeah, well, I talk about films.
Pretty good. And I rob people of their
humanity. Really.
Decency.
Like people are just sitting there going,
this fucking guy again.
Is he still going on about honorable mentions?
Still? No one cares about this art house shit. So, all right. So anything interesting happening to you?
Well,
anything
first of all,
happened to you?
You can't forget our socials.
Oh, that's right. Okay. You can find us on, find me specifically on Grindr. My name is Big Dick Dog Boy on Grindr.
Everything at the bottom of the screen there, really. I don't have a Grindr logo.
You can find me on Tinder. You can find me on Assgape. I'm sure that's something that's out there.
What's your username on these?
My username on what was the first thing? Grindr. On Grindr is
Rob Grindr. He really didn't have anything to go on.
Is rob me of my dignity.
Okay. Yeah.
And on Tinder,
surprised that wasn't taken.
On Tinder, it's I don't know. I don't got a good one.
Please
Tinder.
Give it back. I'm begging you.
Return my dignity back to me at tinder.com.
All right. one for the males, one for the females, right?
That's right. Never the twain shall meet. You know what? No, they meet in the middle in Reddit.
So Netflix Weekly on just about everything, or just search and you'll find it, hopefully. You can search Netflix, all that.
Yeah. Hopefully you got all that. And if you do find me on Grindr, be sure to let me know, because that's not me. I want to find my doppelganger on Tinder, or not Tinder. What's it on Grindr?
So I did a little test of, like, I tried signing up for some website, and I tried that website's name at netflixweekly.com, and it didn't work. So if anyone is emailing us, please stop. Just go to Reddit.
I thought our email doesn't work.
It's supposed to be a catch-all email. It should be anything at netflixweekly.com. But not the word anything, but like you could put anything in there, and then you could put anything in there,
I guess, right?
Also, new look to the show. You might have seen it this past week, episode 16. It's just putting more information, and then it's looking a little nicer and easier to see on the YouTube. So,
because nobody wants to stare at you or I for the entire show. We should, in all honesty, we should be like
not ginormous, but yeah,
we should be up on the
Rob
top
every
corner.
Week was pushing me and saying, "Make us big."
Right. And topless, constantly topless.
Well, we tried that, and then it didn't. Went right off of YouTube.
YouTube made us pay to come back on. We were suspended until we paid us.
We got 2 strikes. One more strike, and we're done. So no more talking about horse.
That's right. All right. So for me, yeah, nothing interesting. Sorry. What? God damn it! You always interrupt me.
Recycling.
I'll get to that. Don't worry, because mine comes after your anger story. But one thing that's cool that happened this week was we bought a 3D printer. But what's funny is I got the 3D printer and everything all set up. I'm all ready to go.
Oh, you got one. Okay.
Yeah, but our resin hasn't fucking shown up yet. So I was like, son of a bitch. So I can't print anything until our resin shows up. But I am looking very much forward to my wife. She does a lot of knitting and crocheting and stuff like that. So she's looking forward to building like yarn bowls and hooks and whatever these things are called that she sews with. For me, I'm looking forward to making like stuff with the fish tank, mostly like aquarium stuff that can go in the fish tank. My boys are really looking forward to building like Funko Pops, making themselves out of Funko Pop. So yeah,
all you need now is
when it shows up.
You should find an app on. I'm sure there is one. I'd be surprised if there wasn't one. An app on your iPhone or Androids, whatever you got, that does 3D scanning.
But yeah, I'm sure it's.
And then you can scan them into it.
Yeah. Oh, exactly. Yeah. They've got the software. I've read a little bit about how to work in that software, but I mean, it's all a matter of having to start. I installed the software, but didn't do anything with it because why bother? It's not like I could fucking print anything out.
It's like me and OBS.
Right? I'll get around to it.
One day we'll Twitch stream this show, but
our resin is supposed to show up the 5th, I think, June 5th or 4th.
Did you go with plain resin at like to start off with?
No, I went with well, I think one is plain, like beige, that beigeish color, and the other one is gray. So I got 2 big vats of that because I knew we were going to print out a shit ton of stuff.
And you'll print out stuff for me in cost? At cost?
In cost.
You won't profit from my misgivings?
I'll still print out that huge dildo that you asked me for. And then that double-sided one that kind of looks like devil horns.
That's so that I can put on the chair while we're talking.
Right? Look at how calm Phil is when we're talking all moving forward.
You have no idea what's going on down there, you know.
All right. What about you? Anything interesting happening over the weekend? Not much, eh?
No, my dog's going for surgery this week, so we'll see what happens.
Yay, go. So good luck to your dog.
Thank you very much. My dog is a Chiweenie, and she's cute, and I love her. And I obviously love her very much to be spending what I'm going to be spending.
I mean, in all honesty, my dog is better, but I understand that you got to spend as much as you can on your dog. My dog is the queen of the universe. It's funny, you know, because all those jokes are so totally true. I read this thing, it was like on Reddit or Instagram or some shit, where this guy takes a dog, holds the dog's head in his hand and kisses her and says, "I love you. And don't worry, I will be back. I'm not leaving. I will come back. It's just work that I'm going to. You're very special. I love you." And then he walks right by, says to his wife, "Goodbye." And then goes out the door. And the wife goes, "I was literally sitting right beside the fucking dog." And I've said to my wife, and my wife's, you know, I told her that joke. She's like, "Yep." Because I'll be like, "You're so beautiful." I'll say to the dog all the time. And my wife will be, "Why did you say to me?" I'm like, "You're not my dog. The dog is beautiful. She's a apple of my eye. She's the beauty of my life."
If you lick peanut butter off my balls like the dog does, I love you too.
Then we've got a special connection.
Yeah.
I can't even convince my wife to put peanut butter on my balls. That's enough.
No, application is everything, right?
That's right. See, and that's why if I could marry the dog, I would. But it's not Alabama, so I'm not allowed to.
Ooh, that's an idea.
Speaking of marrying animals, I'm going to jump right into my honorable. Oh no, wait. Sorry. Before my honorable mentions, we need to find out what your problem is with blood work.
Well, we should really talk about it next week because we have so much to talk. No, if you got to watch a blood work to know what I'm talking about. But it's like lazy.
I've never seen blood work.
Oh, it's lazy filmmaking at its best. I don't even remember what it's like. Classic crime. Two people in the force get together and try to find a criminal. Like the police.
Oh, okay.
Detectives.
You mean like fucking Star Wars force, like two fucking force ghosts.
What threw me off first in this movie, the second biggest thing that threw me off in this movie is they were trying to play with time, like throw in stuff that wasn't needed. So you have them talking about the investigation or something, and then there's a donut eating scene. This is a drama, and someone comes in with donuts and they're like, "Yeah, sure, I'll have one."
I enjoy these donuts.
Seriously, it was like, I know, to me in the theater, it felt like 20 minutes of people eating donuts, and
usually that's called padding the time.
It was exactly what it was. I'm sure it was only like 4 minutes or something, but it was like 4 minutes that did not need to be there. And then the other thing was the big bag. I'm sorry to spoil it when you finally go watch Blood Work.
Now I never need to watch it.
Clint Eastwood. The evil bad guy, he gets shot or something, and he has a false death. He comes back and goes, "Ah!" and then he gets shot again. Who cares?
That's unfortunate they say it's Clint Eastwood, because usually the majority, I'm not going to say all of them, but a good chunk of Clint Eastwood's directorial efforts are usually pretty good.
What was the recent one that surprised me? I'd have to
Well,
look at
there's
his
he
list.
made like I think our Fathers of Iwo Jima or Sons of Iwo Jima, something about
No, it
that.
wasn't
And then
that.
before that, I think in 2016 he made Gran Torino, which a lot of people liked. And Gran
Wasn't
Torino
that?
was a
I don't think I've
fantastic
seen
movie.
that. So
Nope,
I
Gran
think
Torino
there's
is
something
fantastic.
more recent, and I was just like,
Yeah, very well.
huh,
Oh, he made The Mule. Is it The Mule you're thinking of? Maybe
no.
no. I believe he directed The Mule, but I can't remember.
No, it was something more recent. I don't care enough to go check, but
To find
but
out.
this movie, I actually went in the theater, and it was just me and someone else because we were just like killing time. I worked at the Colis. Sorry, I worked at a Cineplex movie theater,
Right.
and we got free passes, and we are like, we'll just go see this blood work movie. So we go in the theater, and it's just me and that person and like a few other people that work at the cinema. No one else cared to go to this movie. So during the movie,
Not even an audience.
I just joked out loud the whole movie because I didn't care. Like, this movie was so bad. I hated life. So
Yeah,
Bloodwork, go watch it.
I've never walked. I've seen some shit movies. I've never walked out of one. A friend of mine, um, we didn't go together, but this friend of mine, like, he'll sit through fucking anything. He loves like the most boring shit. He almost walked out of The Island of Dr. Moreau, which is a great bad movie. It's more
It's
fun
a classic
to know,
though.
but it's more fun to know all the shit that went on behind the scenes. And then there's a great documentary called Richard Stanley's Island of Horrifying Journey of Making Island. It's got some long fucking title, but just look up Island of Dr. Moreau, or even Island of Dr. documentary. And it's about Richard Stanley, the guy that originally tried to get that movie done, who hasn't directed a lot since, but he came back with a great Nicolas Cage movie, which is such an oxymoron to say, called Color Out of Space, which was fantastic. I actually think it was the first movie I saw in Kingston when we moved here at the Landmark. Fucking loved it. Yeah, it's an amazing documentary. But enough about that.
Oh, hold on. The only movie I did not walk out on Bloodwork. The only movie I ever walked out on was Master of Disguise.
Oh, what's his name? Dana Carvey, right?
It was so bad.
I've never seen it.
I've had people go, "Oh, but it's so good. It has quoted lines." The quoted lines are all in the commercials. There's nothing, even those are bad. Like, there's nothing else that's better than the trailers. It's bad.
What I think, wasn't there two of them? I believe it got a sequel, didn't it?
I hope not.
Oh, I believe it did, but yeah,
I think whenever something comes up on TV or Netflix that says Master of Disguise or anything, my brain just shuts off and gives up on
says,
life.
Yes, avoid. But all right, for my honorable mentions, I actually watched a good majority. What?
Recycling. I need to know the story of the week.
So, recycling here for anybody that does work in recycling and listens to this show. I say this with as much kindness as I can. Put a fucking bag over your head and throw yourself down some concrete stairs because you're a fucking idiot.
No.
The people who came to pick up so today is what is it, like plastics and
Memorial Day.
Yeah, Memorial Day. If they could memorize how to do fucking recycling, that'd be nice. But it was plastics and fucking bottles and that shit. So these idiots, they say, I've read on their fucking website, when you have that foam shit that comes in boxes, you know what I mean, like the foam, put that out with your fucking plastics.
Yeah.
So I put it out in a fucking bag with fucking plastics. And this idiot, because I'm watching the moron right out my window while I'm working, and I'm looking at him, this dumb fuck empties out the two fucking bins and then looks at the bags like they're fucking speaking to him in a different fucking language and just leaves them there. Even though they're clearly this fucking foam shit. You can tell what they are. They're in a bag a foot away from you.
So his problem was they were in a bag.
Then he proceeds to go to my neighbor. That's what I thought, right? So he proceeds to go to my fucking neighbor's house that she has, that breakable styrofoam that kids are always hitting each other over the head with and it breaks. Right? She has that, the exact same fucking thing that I do. The only difference is mine's in the bag. Hers is not in the bag. Hers is taped together. He empties her fucking garbage out, looks at her stuff. Oh, no, I'm going to leave that here too. So this dum-dum is too fucking stupid to know that even on the goddamn Kingston website that says, put this out with your plastics, he's still not fucking taking it. So again, if that, and I'm sure it's a long shot, if somebody knows that person or if that person listens to the show, throw a bag over your fucking head and throw yourself down some goddamn concrete stairs and try to knock some fucking sense into yourself.
Netflix Weekly does not share the.
Yeah, but I was like, I'm done being mad about it. Now it's just comical how inept some of these guys are.
Why don't you just yell at the window? What the hell are you doing? Like, not you.
Because then I've got the feeling that these guys are dumb. You know, I already know that they'd be the type of guys like, I'm not going to pick like the Beavis and Buttheads. I'm not going to take his garbage, or I'm not going to take his recycling just because I don't like him. I just know that they're those kind of people, spiteful bastards. So, and I write into the website or email or call or whatever you're supposed to do, but literally it's not important. It's a fun thing to bitch about, but I'm not going to die. Fuck them. They want us to recycle, but if you're not going to take them to recycling, fuck it. I'll throw it in a garbage bag. You know what I mean? So
yeah,
that's life. What are you going to do?
That's blame Kingston.
Yep. Good old Kingston. Not thinking very much with their recycling.
Now I can feel better about sharing this to the Kingston Reddit.
What? That they're stupid?
The show.
Recycling team is stupid? Oh, okay. Yeah, well, and if it's not like it's your opinion, it's all my opinion. So any Kingston Redditors, throw that hatred towards me if you do have it, because it is all fucking me that hates these moron recyclers. I had a good 3-week run of, it was a different guy. It's a different guy that's done it today than was before. And not that I don't want anybody to get the impression that I'm just sitting by my window, like fucking rear window, just staring at these people. I hear the truck go by, so I poke my head out the window.
No, you're just waiting there. You're just like,
I'm fucking, that's right. I'm like fucking, hey, what are you doing with my garbage out?
Take my effing kitty litter.
But yeah, so whoever's doing it now is dumb. For the past 3 weeks, they were great. The guy that's doing it now, imbecile.
Should take his picture, put it in the recycle bin,
shit.
and say, "I see what you're doing."
Picture to the bag and have a picture of like me going dumb.
A picture of you going like this, and then while he's looking at the picture, do that in the window.
In the window, be like, "Fucking stupid."
I'm watching.
But all right, so I want to talk about my honorable mentions, and then we'll eventually get to the shows that we watched.
Yeah.
So for me, I tackled a good chunk of the movies that were up for Best Picture for this year that I've already passed, because I want to see if I agreed with the winner, which was a movie called Nomadland, which was very good. Nomadland was a very good movie, starring Frances McDormand, who's a wonderful, wonderful actress. I think she's fucking fantastic from day one when I first saw her back in Blood Simple. Through every movie she's been in, she's very, very good. She's very good in this. I do not think that it deserved Best Picture. And again, just my opinion. So feel free to bash the shit out of it. I feel like Best Picture should have gone to the Korean film about a Korean family. Yeah. Oh, exactly. Yeah. Because if anything, you know, Zack Snyder deserves more fucking accolades for his worthless work. But it should have gone to the movie about a Korean family coming over from Korea, obviously, to America called Minari. Which is a wonderful, wonderful film. Really, really enjoyed it. Also watched Judas and the Black Messiah, which was fantastic. Judas and the Black Messiah was really, it felt like a Martin Scorsese movie, but from a black person's point of view, which is great because if you watch Scorsese movies, especially a lot of the older ones, even the newer ones, but especially the older ones, they're very racist, but it's not him that's racist. It's the environment, the 1960s, 1970s New York. And this was the same angle, but from the Black Panthers point of view. It was fantastic. Really enjoyed it. And also watched Mank, which was Herman Mankiewicz, the guy that wrote Citizen Kane and basically what he went through to write Citizen Kane. So watched all those. Very, very good. I haven't watched, there's one movie, Promising Young Woman, that I have no interest in. So I did not watch that. I believe my girlfriend saw it. And she was like, yeah, just skip it. It's stupid. So I totally skipped that.
There's like a huge disconnect when it comes to this. What is it called again? The awards?
Oh, the Oscars?
Yeah. There's a huge disconnect because it's like, it's now like, okay, once they say these movies are great, people go watch them, but it's usually not the other way around.
No.
You know what I mean? Like there's like a disconnect there in terms of like you have to then really want to go watch these things after the fact, which
It's also,
has helped for like what's certain a lot of movies, right? But there is a
it's helped to get
disconnect.
directors and writers and actors off the ground, which is great. The problem is the it's unfortunate, and you know, all of the movies that were up this year, aside from Promising Young Woman, were, like, in my opinion, just fantastic. You know, they were fantastic. Sound of Metal was great. All these movies, very, very good. The problem is it starts becoming kind of, okay, well, we can't vote for a white guy because there's been a lot, like the majority of people that have been white, and it becomes kind of a, all right, which race
there's an
have
issue
we
there
fucked
for
over
sure.
long enough? There is, but just because you're a different race, that does, if you didn't make a movie that was the best, you shouldn't get the award.
I agree.
You know, I don't believe that just because someone is black or white or Asian or whatever, that they should get the award just because of the race. I don't think that's fair to the other, especially the other filmmakers.
Completely agree.
Yeah, and Chloe Zhao, I believe, I'm probably getting her name wrong, but she was the woman who directed Nomadland. Like I said, it's a wonderful, wonderful movie. I would just prefer Minari. I thought Minari was, for me, a better film.
There's a difference between everything being all white people that are winning and nominated, like the past. But now it's gone a little bit too far, like you're saying, and is all about like, if we in each category we have to represent. Well, that's not really what we're doing here. We're doing an awards show. So if unfortunately, sometimes there won't be representation because a movie or acting has not been up to snuff. Like it's not as good. And you can argue that is because money and people not wanting to put money into these projects as much as the white actors or the white directors. I get that that's going to change as time goes on. But there is still something to say of what you're saying is that, like, just because you're black and you made a movie doesn't mean it should be higher than this white made movie. Like I'm being very it's hard to say these things, but it's like,
I totally understand what you're saying, and it's funny. I had this conversation with my wife on the weekend because I was talking about the same thing. I said I watched these films and they were great, and I said, for me, I think a majority of the problem is the studio environment, because, and especially right now, because streaming services are run by massive fucking studios. Disney, Amazon. Amazon is looking at purchasing MGM. So there's all these studio. What's that?
It's in the process, but they pretty much did. Like,
yeah. But I mean, what I mean is, like, it's huge companies that buy these studios, and so they need a bankable product. So they put out something that's consistently the same, that never changes, that's always delivering fan service or always delivering the same shit over and over again.
Yeah.
And where I was really happy with, like, where Black Panther, what was important was it brought a voice to the Marvel universe that I don't think would have been there if that was directed by a white director. Like, it was a very in my opinion, and maybe I'm totally fucking wrong, but it felt much more in touch with a black audience than I think a white director would have done with it.
Well, that's
I was like, man, this is going to
go on.
I was going to say, this would be great if they could start. Okay, you know what? We brought in, you know, a black director to give his voice to a movie like Black Panther. Now let's start bringing in maybe Asian directors. Let's start bringing in some women directors. Let's start bringing in some gay directors into this massive Marvel universe. The same thing can be done with DC. The same thing can be done with the Star Wars universe. The same thing can be done with all the Pixar movies.
Yeah.
You bring in these different voices to make this amalgam of movies, this huge interconnecting web of movies. To me, that's where you'll get the best bang for your buck. And the one that has failed at it, the absolute obviously, is fucking Star Wars. Because what was funny was Kathleen Kennedy, remember when she took over Lucasfilm, we're going to get minorities directing Star Wars, and we're going to get women. There was going to be a woman-led Star Wars movie, you know what I mean, by the time we're done this. They have all been white dudes, you know what I mean? Every single motherfucking one of them, all 9 of them, all the fucking spinoffs, all white dudes. And now that we finally, it's unfortunate, but it's going to be the woman that directed Wonder Woman. She's been given a Star Wars movie. Taika Waititi, who is an amazing writer director, has been given and he's New Zealand. He's been given a Star Wars movie. So we're finally starting to get there, but it's taken so fucking long, and it took the absolute abysmal failure of Rise of Skywalker to get here. And I wish the Marvel universe, the MCU would catch the fuck up and start having different voices, because, and I'm not trying to say I'm some fucking, a guy that wants to see racial equality. I just want to see better fucking movies, because they're all the fucking same. It's getting on my goddamn nerves how they're all similar. And then I watch, this weekend with Minari and Judas and Black Messiah and all these movies that have such an awesome voice in them, so inspired by how good they are, that I want to see this shit be pushed out to shit that younger kids are going to watch.
I think MCU is catching up with that. I think if you look at what they're doing in their timeline, they are totally trying to embrace that.
Which is great. And I hope it really, really lands with its audience, because it's been a long time coming. And, and again, I'm not saying it as some sort of, hey, Black Lives Matter and shit. Of course that shit matters, but I'm saying it as someone who wants to see better fucking movies. You know what I mean? Because I'm watching Judas and Black Messiah, I'm watching Minari, I'm watching Nomadland, and they have a distinct voice that not enough people are singing. And the reason though,
still comes down to like having a good director, though. You can't just give like some unknown Asian dude that direction of Shang-Chi and then get crap,
Exactly. And that's where it's a fine balance. You've got to have that studio interference, for lack of a better term, and a good director, but the studio needs to have the confidence in the director to take the movie in the direction that they should. You can just kill your camera when you got to blow your nose, right? I can't hear you. You're muted, you dumb bastard. All right, I'm gonna say what Phil's talking about right now. Phil's talking about how much better looking. Look at how good looking Robb is. You can see if you look right in the middle of his face, and over here you'll notice here's a picture of his penis that he sent over to me on Instagram. As you can see, the testicles are so ungainly large.
Yeah, exactly what I was saying.
But the reason I was talking to my wife was in the 1970s, around the start of the 1970s, and I'm sure you and I have talked about this before. The studios were starting to die off. They were running out of money because nobody was going to the movies. So they said, hey, let's try an interesting idea and let all these kids that are coming out of film school, let them make the fucking movies. Just give them carte blanche, man. Let them do whatever they want to do. And this is when we got the Scorseses and the Lucases and the Spielbergs and the fucking De Palmas. And we got all these directors that made these amazing movies that we all remember from the 70s and 80s. And I said to my wife, I think we're coming to the point where that's going to happen again, because especially as theaters start to open up again after the pandemic, they're going to be, holy shit, we need a way to get people back into the movies. We don't have the money to make these huge grandiose movies that we want to do. We're going to put those on fucking streaming, but the theaters are going to start belonging to the film schools again, to the film students. That's what I think is going to happen. I really hope it happens. And then the theaters are going to start having more like movies that just fucking blew us away, like the Star Wars, the Jaws, the fucking Mean Streets, the movies of these new kids that are just coming out of school. So that's something I'd like to see. Don't know if it'll happen, but I'd like to see it happen.
I was watching Kind of Funny, and they were talking about how things are starting to go towards the idea that trying to remember that streaming services are next, and that different things work better for different types of movies, for sure. But they're saying like longer movies are going to happen because it's not all about the movie theater now. It's about like streaming, and you could chop up these movies. So if you have a 4-hour movie, you can make it into episodes, or you can put it to normal ass movies. So you might see your normal stuff that you're used to, but just longer.
Yeah, but I'm hoping we see, like, because I go to the movies, if I don't give a shit if a movie is hour and 20 minutes. If I'm engaged the entire hour and 20 minutes, that's totally worth my money, But
Peter Jackson's King Kong was a great movie.
It was, but it was a real lesson in excess. That's one thing I will say about that movie. But it was too much.
I came out of that movie feeling like it wasn't, though. I was like, really? It was like, I don't know what it was, like 3 and a bit?
3.5 hours long.
And I was like, what?
I came out of King Kong going, that whole fucking time on the ship, that should not be there. You know what I mean? Like that did not need to be there. There was nothing learned in that entire section of the movie that couldn't have been learned much quicker on the island. So I saw where its faults were. Again, yeah, wonderful movie, but I saw where its faults were. I will say that before that, Peter Jackson was almost without fault when you watch those Lord of the Rings movies. Because I know he had to edit down a shit ton of stuff. You know what I mean? And then when you watch the extended edition, they're that much better. But with King Kong, there was a lot that he should have taken out that he didn't. That would, in my opinion, would have made it a much tighter movie. But no, and then you saw with Hobbit, the Hobbit, he still like, God damn it, dude, you got to edit better. You got to take out some of this shit.
I'm still waiting for Army of the Dead Snyder cut.
What more do you think they could put into that movie, though?
You know what I found out? I found out that the comedian, what's her face?
Tig Notaro.
Yeah. She was not the original actress.
That's right.
There was another one, and they had to like take those parts out and have her shoot at it as a different camera. The entire movie,
green screen environment.
I'm like, wow, I didn't notice. That's
near to that.
Huge on them. That's great.
It kind of makes me want to go back and as kind of disgusted as it makes me, rewatch the fucking movie and look for that. Look for Tig Notaro in the background, looking like if she has no idea what the fuck is going on around her. Because one scene, it looked like it looked like it really worked when she's talking to Davy B, and she's saying, you know, that guy's not important. We should all be watching that fucking guy because that guy's gonna fuck us over. She looks like she's right there in that scene. To think that she's there with green screen, I'm like, yeah, it's pretty impressive when they put that together.
Yeah, I'm guessing they did minimal green screen and just multiple cutaway cameras, like just separate camera shots.
Don't know, in all honesty.
Not knowing, like, it would be good to know this stuff and watch it for the first time, but maybe it would take you out of the movie, like, because you really want to be into it.
There was also, have you heard, what do they call it, like Pixelgate or something, where there were dead pixels?
I meant to mention that last week, and I was going to ask you if you even noticed.
Nope, I did not notice.
Throughout the whole movie, it drove me crazy. Nope, there was like one or two pixels, and it was like probably a certain camera that they were using that had like a pixel. What? Snyder probably went bald.
I would honestly, I would dare to say that he did not notice.
Oh my!
And that's why it went out to Netflix.
Well, how do you think he would feel in that case if he didn't notice the whole time, and then it started coming out, and people were like, "Did you see a pixel? Did you see a pixel? Yeah, there was a pixel." And then it's confirmed now because everyone's talking about it, I guess, because I didn't hear anyone else talk about it. But like, now that you mentioned that, and that's great because I kept worrying at first that it was my TV.
I think it was it's the Joss Whedon scenario where Joss Whedon has been so pumped up and jerked off by his fan base before, you know, his fall from grace, deservedly so, that he doesn't care. I think Zack Snyder is like, all these people wanted the Snyder Cut. I'm fucking amazing. I must be so great, that he does not care.
It does feel that way.
And hopefully, you know, Zack Snyder eventually gets a fucking fall from grace similar to that. I own my own, and you know what? It's bad because I don't wish anything bad for Zack Snyder, or as I like to call him, Hack Snyder.
You just wish not to watch his movies.
Yeah, he's not a bad person. He seems like a very affable, nice guy, but his movies suck. He shouldn't ever write movies. Same with J.J. Abrams. J.J. Abrams, wonderful fucking director, should never ever write his own movies. And then there's some writers, and the fucking same thing. The guy that his name escapes me at the moment, but the guy that wrote Taxi Driver, Paul Harris, I want to say, I can't remember. He directed a terrible movie with James Dean, the porn star, and Lindsay Lohan. And it's like, dude, you need to stick to writing. You're a great writer, but don't fucking direct movies.
Which is Shyamalan.
Yeah, Shyamalan's another one. I think he's a great director. He knows tension, man. He's really good with tension. But don't fucking write these movies and stop thinking that every movie needs a goddamn twist at the end.
Really looking forward to another movie that's going to have a goddamn twist at the end. It's called Old or something to do with it's these people on a beach that then start becoming like aging fast, and they have to figure it out.
You just discover that they have progeria.
my whole issue is that why don't you just walk off the beach?
Mm-hmm.
I don't.
It's the
There's
same
going to
as
be
The
something,
Village.
but
I remember, I can't remember what movie my wife and I went to see. This is back when we were fucking dating, and the trailer to The Village came on. And in trailer for The Village, oh, there's a monster, there's a monster. And then
yeah,
it's cutting by all of their houses, and there's a red streak across their house, right?
yeah.
And then they show the trees, and the trees are what did it. The trees had a spray painted X on them. And if you've ever been in an area where they were cutting down trees, especially for if they're going to build like industry, you know what I mean? Like they're building a factory or a new build or a mall or something. For me, it was a mall for where I lived in Brampton. That's what they do. They spray paint the trees that they're going to take down. They spray paint the area that they're going to take down. And so when we saw that, I was like, oh, it's industry. Like it's a little encampment, or like I call it Black Creek Pioneer Village, which I don't know how many people in Kingston remember Black Creek Pioneer Village. But that's what it is. They're living a little camp, and
it's like Mennonites, but not
yeah,
Mennonites.
yeah.
The other one.
I know you're talking about the Amish.
Amish, yeah.
But yeah, and it's funny. Then the movie comes out, and that's exactly what it is. I'm like, of course, that's exactly what it is. They made it so fucking obvious in the goddamn trailer.
Yeah, and yeah. The trailer kind of showed forgot what they, like a contrail or something in the sky.
Contrail.
Like
I
watched
The Village. Oh, I don't. I watched The Village on whatever streaming service it came from. Maybe it was on Netflix. I cannot remember, but I barely paid attention.
Oh, The Village, I'm sure was in theaters.
Oh yeah, I know it was, but I never went and saw it in theaters.
Yeah, I was. Go on.
I was gonna say after I was horribly disappointed by Signs, which is so fucking good until the end. Yeah, until the end. And I remember walking out of the theater, all of us looking at each other like, what the fuck was that? Water is what fucking killed. And all of us in the audience were talking to each other like, what in the flying fuck was that? And after that, I never will go see an M. Night Shyamalan movie in theater. I'll never give that guy my money again.
Absolutely love this. Absolutely love Signs. I was big on when the trailer came out. I was like, oh, what's it? What is this? Because all it was that like twisting G or something. I don't know, S or something like that.
I think it was the G, because they turned it into like a crop circle.
Yeah, I was just like, oh my goodness, Shyamalan, right? I came right then. But then
while yelling,
what was
Shyamalan?
The Happening right after that?
No, then it came The Village, and then after The Village was The Happening.
The Village was one that we were going to the internet, and I was with everyone trying to figure out what was going on with leaked stuff, which completely ruined it for me, because that made me figure out what the point of the whole movie was before seeing
what the twist was.
So unfortunately, I can't really say I was surprised or whatnot. Like, who knows what would have happened if I didn't know that stuff? So I don't do that anymore. Then
I don't do that for movies I care about.
The Happening was fun, but it was awfully
so dumb. That I remember. So in The Happening, my brother-in-law was like, dude, you're gonna love this movie, it's fucking great. I'm like, oh, with his seal of approval, because he's a guy that would like Master of Disguise, right? I'm like, oh, I gotta see this garbage now. So I got hold of it and I was watching it, and it's that opening scene where this guy's like, I don't know what they're doing. And he's like a construction worker, and he's like, what are they doing? And there's these guys just throwing themselves off the roof, and I start fucking giggling. And then there's a guy that's he's in a shark, or no, it's not shark, tigers, like a tiger encampment. And he just walks out, the tiger, here, eat my hand. And the tiger rips his arms off. And then there's a guy that's fucking going around on a ride of a lawnmower, and just gets out and lays down in front of it. I was fucking howling. I was laughing so hard. I'm like, this shit is fucking stupid.
And it wasn't supposed to be a comedy.
And it wasn't. And it was absolutely hilarious. And then John Leguizamo gets into an accident and flies out the front of the fucking window of the car. All the deaths were hilarious. The movie was stupid as hell. Like, that was one of his, I'd say, I've never seen The Last Airbender, but for the movies of his that I have seen, that one was the dumbest. Airbender I've heard is bad.
No, and all the people who wanted it to be like the same as the anime, were so disappointed. Oh my god. And I was a little bit into the anime. Like I watched it to prepare, and then I was like, what the hell is this? The whole movie. What the hell is this? Like the whole movie. Oh, it was garbage.
I remember watching the trailer. I got to see some movie with a buddy of mine, and the trailer for After Earth came out, and I'm like, fuck, dude, this looks cool. And they kept his name out of the opening. You'll notice they said Will Smith and his son, Jada Pinkett Smith, whatever his kid's name is.
Jada Pinkett
Will Smith Jr.
That's his wife.
What's his kid's name?
Not
Ethan.
Important. No.
John Smith. Okay, so
John
Will Smith
Smith,
and
okay.
John Smith are in this movie, and blah, 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 blah. And then at the end, when they show the credits, I saw M. Night Shyamalan across the bottom. I'm like, nope. As soon as I saw that right at the bottom, I'm like, nope, I'm avoiding that.
It was an all right movie.
I never saw it, and I never will.
It was worth it for Will Smith. That's because he's good at acting.
I've never seen it.
Anyway, any more honorable mentions?
Or off the rail honorable mentions? No.
It's our show. This is what we do.
But all right, so we decided to watch two movies. Oh, well, you decided we should watch two movies last time. One that's a movie, that's the start of I only watched one of this 4-part miniseries, even though they are all only 24 minutes. I was only able to get in one. But the first movie that we watched,
Eden, or one of Nail Bomber?
Eden. No, okay. Nail
Bomber was just a one thing.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's just one thing. I was gonna say, shit, don't tell me there's more of it. I only watched the fucking.
Was there only 4 Edens?
Yeah, there's only 4.
Oh geez, I watched 2, just so you know.
Yeah, I only watched one. But
I thought you said you were watching all 4.
I said I was going to try to today, but this got fucking. There was other.
I wouldn't have bothered to watch the second episode.
Well, now you can hold it over me for all the shit that I'm going to say. I don't agree with this, and they better fucking change this.
Okay, let's go.
But no, for Nail Bomber. Okay. Yeah, I want to talk Nail Bomber.
Oh, he dropped his pocket.
Oh, what fell out of my chair?
Uh-oh. He just collapses.
No. Yeah, look, this little screw.
Oh no!
My chair. I'm gonna have to find where this goes to.
You did a good job.
Hope it just doesn't fall fucking apart on me.
It's the extra screw you just shoved in there somewhere.
Now I'm all yeah, I just dropped it.
So go ahead and look. I'm curious.
Find somewhere.
Go ahead and look. I'm curious.
No, I don't know, because I'm afraid if I turn it over to the side, the whole thing's gonna collapse like a fucking house of cards.
We can hope.
But for Nail Bomber, I won't go into uber detail about it, but I did enjoy it for very on the nose reasons about, hey, why racist, hateful people are the way they are, and why non-racist people are the way they are. It makes that kind of painfully obvious. But one thing I did like right out of the start that I've never, and it's funny, it's one of those things that it's so fucking obvious when someone says it, but it's hard to explain to someone if you don't have this in the back of your mind. This guy says right at the start, the guy who infiltrated the neo-Nazi organization, or IFB or NBB, whatever the hell it's called. The guy who infiltrated them, he says it was like a competition to see who could be the most radical. When you would see all these guys trying to be the baddest of the bad,
who has the bigger dick?
Yeah, who can be the bigger mean prick?
Yeah.
And I was so amazed by how just painfully fucking exact that is, on the nose, right? Like, it's just like, yeah, which one of us? One guy says, well, you know what? I'm going to go and beat up a black dude. Well, you know what? I'm going to go beat up 10 black dudes. Well, you know what? I'm going to go find a gay dude and I'm going to beat the shit out of him. And then I'm going to go kill a black dude. Well, you know what? I'm going to go kill a black kid. Like, they just try to escalate so one can outdo the other one, how much of a dick they're being.
You notice at the start of that, they were like, but no one ever did it. Everyone was just saying, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. And then no one ever did it until
until the Nail Bomber. But I was amazed by how that's exactly who these fucking cowards all are. There are all these people who say, I'm going to do this. Yeah, well, you kill one, I'm going to kill 10.
So
it's all just to be a bigger ass.
Before we get into that further, like, the premise of this is talking about a nail bombing incident that happened in the UK. Do you have the date?
I don't. I believe it was in the mid-70s, though.
Um, they the snail bomber did like successfully did 4, or was it 3?
I believe it was 3. So yeah, what this guy effectively did was created a bombs that were surrounded with nails, among other different pieces of metal. That when they exploded, it's effectively a dirty bomb. When it
Very
exploded,
dirty.
it would just eviscerate the shit was between it. And one, I can't remember if it was a cop or if he was one of the forensics guys, says, the worst part of these fucking bombs is they shred when they explode. So if it's a nail, it will shred through one person and go into another person. So when they're trying to identify, we're finding like bits of a person's leg and another person's fucking neck. He goes, it's horrible what these bombs do.
Even worse, what blew my mind was this guy, this evil, horrible person, took all these nails and left them out to have rodents run over them and pee on them and defecate on them, and then use those nails so that they would give diseases to these people that have already been through enough.
It's unimaginable that the type of hatred that must exist in the heart of someone like that. But it's the one thing that honestly fucking astounded me. So the show starts and it's talking about the people who are in this area. It was not a slum is the wrong word, but like a farmer's market in a poorer side of town.
And there's different perspectives throughout this. There's the actual nail bomber who got interviewed in jail. There's the undercover guy that went undercover in the CB. What was it?
I can't remember what it's called. I believe it's like the
BNP,
the British National Party.
Yeah. Which is like, we're not racist, but we're racist.
We're not racist, but we believe that only white people should be in Britain.
And then we have a few other like victims, and maybe victims, a cop and some other things. Yeah. So the biggest perspectives was the nail bomber and the undercover agent.
Yeah, they were kind of. I was very interested to listen to a lot of the people that were part of social groups that like Black social groups, Indian social groups, gay social groups that came up after the fact when they thought that the police were not doing enough. But before I get into that, one thing I thought was I had to rewind it that I was astounded by is nobody died in that first bomb. There were some people that were like fucking 2 feet away from this fucking bomb when it went off. There was a lot of people that were hurt extremely badly. I think I said about 55 people were hurt very, very badly, but nobody fucking died. And I'm like, holy shit, like it's terrible and this went off, but I'm glad to hear that nobody got killed. It sucks that some people had to, obviously live their lives with some significant pain afterwards, but I'm glad nobody fucking died. And another thing that I found interesting, so as soon as that first bomb goes off, we just recently watched Sons of Sam. And I was thinking in my head, doing a mental comparison of the way that the police are dealing with this versus how the police dealt with the finding of the shooter in New York and Sons of Sam. And one thing that I thought was quite interesting was when you think of Sons of Sam, it felt like the police were like, okay, we're the police. We're going to fucking find whoever did this. And the police went into absolute like overload. You know what I mean? Like fucking God mode. They went out, every trick they had, they went out to look for. But there was a constant fight of the people that lived in the streets against the police. Why aren't you doing enough? You're not doing enough. You got to do it better. The police saying, shut the fuck up. We're doing all we can. Like there was a lot of attitudes clashing, a lot of anger around that time. And maybe that's just where America was at that time, or at least New York was at that time. But then when I'm watching this, I see a bunch of people that are like, you know what? Fuck the police. Yeah. But not fuck the police like NWA fuck the police, but like, we're going to just figure this out on our own because we don't think the police are doing this the right way. So instead of fighting the police, they really started up their own fucking groups of investigative groups to search and to help and to talk to
warn each other.
Yeah. And I was like, what a fucking big difference. You know what I mean? Between the way the US did this and the way that the UK does it. It surprised me that it wasn't immediately because I saw it starting when a lot of the groups are like, the fucking cops don't know what the hell they're doing. I thought we were going to go down the same road as Sons of Sam. but instead it was like that one black dude who they spoke to back when it happened, and they were interviewing him again in the future, and he said, yeah, fuck them, we were like, look, the police don't understand what black and non-whites have to deal with in these areas. So we took it upon ourselves to do our own investigation outside of the police. The police can do their thing great, but we're going to do our thing. And there was no animosity, there was no hatred. It was just a very organized fucking unit.
That's what happens when you're describing, or putting against, comparing a white crime compared to, like, if you were to say a white crime compared to other races in the US, another racial crime in the US, you'll see that it's pretty much the same in terms of what happened in the UK, whereas like they're going to have to go do what they can themselves.
Yes, no, absolutely.
As we see that's come about now, like every 30 years, 40 years, we're going to get fuck the police because they got to be taken to task at some point.
Yeah. It was having just watched that recently, it was in my mind while I was watching it. And another thing that was funny, and it was one of those things that in hindsight I was like, well, duh, is I'm watching all these scenes of news footage of these neo-Nazis yelling at the police, yelling at people of different races and whatnot, yelling at gay dudes, or gay people, I should say. And I was like thinking in my head, like, man, I had no idea there was such a huge neo-Nazi movement in the UK. And then what was funny was I wrote down here for myself, but I guess when you think of bands like the Sex Pistols and the Anti-Nowhere League and all these punk fucking bands, they were born, like the Anti-Nowhere League and Sex Pistols, I don't believe are inherently racist, but the people going to their fucking shows, I think they definitely were racist. And when you look at guys like Black Flag, the band Black Flag that Henry Rollins was in, he wasn't in originally, and then he became a singer of it. And you look at bands like the Misfits, they are extremely anti-racist, but they saw, like, if you listen to Henry Rollins does a great reading of his own book, Get in the Van, where he's talking about his years with Black Flag. And he talks about the fucking skinheads, constantly seeing skinheads, always seeing skinheads. Like, in hindsight, I'm like, well, duh, of course it was fucking huge over there. I guess it just didn't occur to me that it was as big as it actually was. You know, it took me off guard.
Yeah, I think the same thing has happened here in other ways, like Proud Boys or Ku Klux Klan. There was like something to do with what is it, Heaven's Angels or Devil's Angels? Hell's Angels, that's it. Didn't they have like a racist tie in the past?
Yeah, they might have. I don't know.
And like they more recently obviously been trying to change that.
I and maybe I'm wrong or just fucking ignorant of the fact, but in my life, I've never seen a large organized racial group in Canada. I'm sure they're there.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, in my experiences walking around Toronto, walking around Brampton, where Brampton is a very large Indian community now, and it became a very large Indian community very fast. I know there was racism. I'm not stupid, but I never saw organized hate groups against different races when I was in Brampton. I certainly haven't seen them here in Kingston.
I've never seen
outside of Kingston has an MPP who everybody says. I don't have enough experience being. I believe his name is Randy
Hillier or something. Hillier, yeah.
I've heard he's a real racist.
Something special.
But I've never seen them, and clearly they exist. I'm not fucking stupid enough to think
everything is closet. It's quiet, and like you are racist, and you just don't associate yourself with other type of races.
But then you become like what happens to the guys in this movie. You discover somehow that there are like-minded people, and in strength of there's numbers, right? We saw this happen with fucking, I'll never call it the Republican Party because I have more respect for the Republicans who are actually decent, as few and far between as they are. I'll call it the Donald Trump Party, who saw strength in numbers and like, hey, we can be the racist pieces of shit that we actually are. We can just bubble it to the surface because there's so many of us now. And that's
like a small example of that in like the wrestling industry, where like I'm a big
Really?
wrestling fan where I go to like local promotions as well as watch the big ones on TV. And there's racists there. Like, I'm not saying all wrestling fans are racist. I know better. But like, I guarantee you there's a number of them, and because that's wrestling, right? It's always been a thing. It's like you're gonna find it in NASCAR a lot, like
See, it's crazy. I remember as a kid, watching wrestling, and I'm not big into it now, but I remember like fucking Junkyard Dog and Jimmy Superfly Snuka and these
Mhm.
guys, and I don't remember any race. I'm sure it was
The
there, but I was too fucking naive to see it.
problem was they always dealt with stereotypes, and that was a huge problem. Like at the time wasn't, because it was like a normal thing to play off of, but like every single ethnic character was a stereotype of their ethnicity.
Okay, I see what you mean.
So that has propagated other things, and then like I said, indie pro wrestling events, you would get people, like I said, I don't know if I said it on air or if I talked to you personally about it, where it was like the guy that I threw out because he was being racist. Did I talk to you about that?
No, maybe you discussed it on your other podcast.
Oh yeah, the other one. Yeah, that is exactly what it was. It was the Time to Wrestle podcast, which isn't up yet. I will keep you updated. But I discussed on it that I was being security for a wrestling event, and there was a guy that started yelling out racial terms at some of the wrestlers, and I had to kick him out. It's like, that was not something that surprised me. Like in hindsight, at the time, I was like, really? And then I walked over and dealt with it. But like in hindsight, that doesn't surprise me. And I know of some wrestlers themselves that are racist, and I had to deal with that myself, on a personal level, because it's like one of those things where like you're trying to befriend a person, and then they turn out to be a racist, and you're like,
oh,
after tonight, we won't be hanging out anymore.
right.
I still have to get home, but after tonight,
I don't think. I think. Oh, look, my phone got wiped out. I
but
lost your number.
that's what I'm saying. It's like in these bands, that type of music and whatnot propagated or made people feel safe to somewhat be themselves. Yeah. And that's the same thing. Like, you'll find other like-minded people at these events, and that can happen at a pro wrestling event. Not as much anymore, obviously, but it's just like NASCAR. You go to a NASCAR event, you're gonna get a bunch of there's gonna be some racists there, like more so than you would at like Celine Dion concert. Is my point.
Can you imagine being yelled at by some of the race with a fucking French with that uppity Quebec accent? I do not like you. You're a stupid black person. I'd be like, yeah, fuck you.
And then you'd be like, I'm white, but still, fuck you.
You look like you are not from Quebec.
Yeah, that's mostly what it is.
From
it's like, Wars. You're not speaking French. Why am I speaking English? Do you go do something in a puddle?
And be like, you can insult me all you want in French, but I don't understand a word you're fucking saying. But okay, so another thing that I noticed that maybe one of those things that you'd cry if it wasn't so funny was when they showed this British National Party. They showed their commercial. They're like, we believe in standing up for the UK. The UK can be strong again. The UK isn't what it once was, but we'll get it there again with strength. And you're like, where the fuck have I seen this commercial in the last fucking 5 years? That fucking douchebag Donald Trump saying, oh, look, all Mexicans are rapists. There's no black people that like Donald Trump, so fuck those people. Like, anybody, you can be as fucking racist as you want. Proud Boys, stand up and stand by, and all that terrible shit that he would fucking say. It's amazing how blatant these guys can be with their racism and not get kicked in the fucking head. It astounds me, man.
50-something% of the US voted him in.
That's right. And still, what is it like? Yeah, like was it 51% or some I heard about on CNN, which so many people would say, oh, it's fake news, CNN. No. Still believe that the election was stolen News, from. Come on. But it's like, Jesus Christ, people, are you fucking stupid? And it amazes me that these people believe in this shit.
just a quick thing about that. Like, all news is fake news. You just have to weed it out.
Except Netflix Weekly.
Except for, yeah, we don't talk out of our asses unless we don't know what we're talking about.
Well, most of the time I'm talking out of my ass. I have no idea what I'm
Exactly.
talking
Most
about.
of the time we don't know what it's talking about. But yeah, it's Fox News. They have their own their ways of doing their, like, it's all bullshit. But it's okay. No, I don't want to go into it. Go on. It just gives me a headache. I hate it.
Yeah, but that's the world we live in. So go team. One thing I wrote down, I'm fascinated by the ideology of this bomber. In that he says that equal opportunity, and this is an interesting thing. If there's one thing that's amazing when watching or reading about like psychopaths or murderers or serial killers, stuff like that, it's trying to get into the mindset of these people, and when they can give you a view into it that you can not make sense of, not justify, but make sense of. That's a fascinating thing. And he says that equal opportunity puts the white man down because it means that if you're not white, you're not special. It means you're just the same as everyone else. Now, to a normal person, yes, we are all the same. We're all made of the same genetic muck. There's nothing better about any race over another one. We're all made of the same genetic garbage. And it's fascinating to think that this guy thinks that equal opportunity, helping out people who might be impoverished, regardless of their fucking color, is what's going to bring you down to their level. Like, it's amazing to think about that. It just,
that whole mentality that they have is, I am scared that either I'm not going to get ahead in life or I'm going to be judged. These two things. Because
I'll be knocked off. I'm afraid of being knocked off my pedestal at the top. I'm afraid of going anywhere near the bottom.
What does he say later on in the documentary? He says they're going through, like, why is it you do this? Like, tell me why you went after, say, the homosexuals. And he's like, oh, because I hate them. Okay, why do you hate them?
Yeah.
I hate them. I just really hate them with a passion. But why is it that you do? It's just they're gay, and
they
hate
say
that.
Like, they said that, it's not being caught on tape. We're only seeing it on video. But you were getting very visibly angry when we're asking you about why do you hate homosexuals, and they're like why are you getting so irate?
Like,
he goes,
there's no way I'm not gay. Yeah, exactly.
No, I'm not gay. Let's just get that clear. And I'm like,
yeah,
okay, there's very clearly something else going on there, because most people, and I say most people because there's clearly fucking guys like this, don't hate homosexuals. There is no inherent reason to hate a gay person. There's an inherent reason to hate yourself, because maybe you don't like the fact that you're a closeted gay, and you hate the fact that you need to keep your real feelings under. Like, there's all sorts of reasons why you would hate yourself.
I think
and externalize that.
I have a point of view that some people might contend with. You can talk to me on Netflix Weekly, on Reddit, okay? But, like,
Grinder,
I believe that sexuality is fluid, and that we have no need for sexuality titles, like, nothing to do with that. There's no reason in life for me to be telling you if I'm gay, straight, whatever, all these titles. It just puts people in a box that doesn't need to be there in the first place. So my thought process here is, because we have all these titles and we're putting people in boxes, and it's causing others to judge others for no reason. So in this case, this guy is scared that if he might have even a tinge of a homosexual feeling, even a tinge, if he were to be judged on that, that would ruin him. There'd be no one left to be a part of. You'd have nothing. And that's what seems to scare people. I feel like because we're in these boxes, we have to stay in these boxes or be judged.
I think on top of that, so I'm very similar in that I don't feel that there's that sexuality is completely fluid. You need to do what makes you happy, as long as it doesn't hurt anyone else. That's where I draw the line. If something hurts someone else and they are not into it, some people love to get hurt. Most people don't. But that's where I draw the line. Like, hey, you can't do that because you're hurting someone.
The key thing is, like, no one's saying you have to like something. Like, no one's saying it's just like, okay, yeah. A good example is you might fall for someone that is, you might like to be totally into women, and you might like have interest in a guy, not for like his penis, but his personality. Yeah. And that's what it all should be about, just personality.
So, I think
other times you wouldn't be interested in someone who's a male because it's not your like, I'm not into penises myself, but I could see someone falling for someone based on personality, even if that's the case.
And I think a lot of what the problem is, especially with a lot of homophobic people, is if I show any sort of emotion or any sort of kindness towards someone that is like, say someone's homosexual, if I was nice to someone who's a homosexual, that means I'm homosexual. You know what I mean? Like, I don't understand that ideology, but I feel like that's what this guy feels like. If I am nothing but the cruelest, meanest, most hateful person towards gay people, people might think I'm gay. I don't know how that rationale works, but I feel like that's who this guy is.
That's him worrying that if he's not going to be that way towards, say, that sexuality or a ethnicity, then he will be judged as an outlier, as someone who likes those types of individuals, and therefore fear.
Yeah, it's sad, but I mean, that's not something we're going to fucking solve in Netflix Suki.
No, we're going to solve it when one day the human race understands that sexuality should be fluid and not judged upon and not put in boxes, and just leave it at that. Who cares who you get with? It doesn't matter.
You know when it's going to get solved? When this fucking green marble that we're on finally gets incinerated for some fucking reason. That's when we'll finally be able to, everything will all be done, because we'll all be dead.
Giant nail bomb.
I did find it comical. The only part of this was comical, and it was, I don't think it was meant to be comical, but I just had a little chuckle myself, where this policewoman, she's in charge of the investigation. And she's saying, I don't think we've ever had a murder like this in the UK. We've never had a murder like this. She's like, I can't even remember, a serial murderer that we've had in Britain. And I started giggling to myself, like, you guys kind of had the most famous serial murderer in history named Jack the Ripper. Yeah. So I thought that was kind of funny, like, I guess, but maybe it's like fucking people here in Ontario go, no, I don't think there's any killers from Ontario. Oh wait, that guy, he nobody really knew him named Jeff.
I think she was referring to it being a racial or sexual,
maybe thing. But she says, I can't recall the last serial murder we've had, and I'm like, you guys had a pretty big one with fucking Jack the Ripper. Granted, that was over 100 years ago, but still, that's a pretty serious one. So it just made me giggle. And the last thing that I liked was, it's a message that I think all sane people and all happy people say, and it's one thing that I've found myself saying, a lot of my life is, the black dude at the end of it, who sums it up perfectly. He says he feels sorry for people who live like this. He doesn't hate them, because can you imagine living your life filled with fucking hate? Like every day would be miserable. You know what I mean? All you do is hate. You don't love anything. And I've always said from the start, and a lot of people disagree with it, but I think perverts rule the universe when it comes to kindness, because I don't care what color you are. I don't care what ethnicity you are. I don't care about any of that shit. As long as, you're down for fucking, and you're down for having fun, and you're down for enjoying life. It doesn't have to be sex, but as long as you're down to enjoy life and like other people and share shit.
Peanut butter to the
right, exactly. I don't care what color the dog is, as long as they'll lick that peanut butter off my balls. That's what I'm happy with. But I feel like I could never have a racist bone in my body, because I'm too attracted to women of every ethnicity across the planet. And I'm too,
as long as they have big boobs, right?
As long as they have big tits. But there's and I don't mean to make it so puerile, but I have no reason, man, woman, anything, to not like someone because of their race. And this guy says it perfectly. He goes, if you're filled up with that much hate, it must get tiring and it must be sad and it must just wear you the fuck out to be filled with hate all the time, you know? And well, that's exactly what it is.
It completely cordons you off. Like you can't go. How are you supposed to enjoy life? Like your idea of enjoying life is doing your 9-to-5 job and then going and hanging out with like-minded individuals who just want to get mad at people.
Yep. And all you do is talk about fucking hate. You know what I mean?
And like NASCAR and wrestling.
Right. And I'm like, nope, that's not me, man.
And Celine Dion.
Right. I love that Celine Dion, her white audience.
Actually, now that you say that.
Yeah, but you know what? In all honesty, her audience is white, but they're also over 80 years old. Fucking
yeah, white, and they're all about to die anyway. So
right, exactly. So
let's bring back Britney Spears.
Good old Britney. She had some big old knockers when she was younger. Then she got them deflated.
All right, so
free Britney. What was the other one? Scullera?
I have no idea what you're even saying. Christina Aguilera.
Aguilera, there we are. I always called her Skull Gorilla, so I forgot what her real name is.
So
she had some big knockers too.
I have some bad news for you.
Uh-oh, what is it?
There are no ratings for the Nail Bomber.
Oh, damn. But the good news is we've come up with our own rating system, which is the horometer, or I think horometer was what we decided, or at least
we're never going to be taken seriously by Netflix.
And if I had to say how many horrors would I give this out of 10, Nail Bomber, I would give Nail Bomber, it felt a bit feel-goodery by the end of it. I feel like they like, yeah, like they were like, don't be racist, be a nice person, everybody's happy. I felt a bit of that by the end of it. I'm like, I don't want that in my documentary. So I'm going to give this a solid 5 out of 10 horrors.
Doom and gloom at the end.
And the guy's like, no, you should be happy.
No, out of 100. I'm not going to hear your 10-point score. We need 100.
How can what am I going to do with 100 horrors?
Because then you can go into 0.5s without it sounding like a 0.5.
All right. Then I give this 50 horrors out of 100.
Even.
50, yep. Even 50 horrors. I'd cut that one right through the middle like a magician's act.
I'm not even going to put horrors on the bottom of the screen or anything.
What? Have a WHO.
I enjoyed this. I give it a 71.
71 horse.
71.
That's a lot of horse, Phil. You're not going to fit them in your apartment.
70 plus 1.
I'll bury them in the backyard. That's how I'll get rid of them. I get a fire pit. I'll just fucking burn them out there.
I thought you loved horrors.
I do love horrors, but what the fuck am I going to do with 50 horrors? And you're bringing over your 71 horse. Got to get rid of them somehow.
You let them work for you. You get an extra income.
Oh, that's a good point, eh?
Rob the
Selling to my neighbors.
I'm sure there's a good market over there. So across the street.
Better be. Across the street. Over in your neck of the woods.
All right, next show.
Next show. I don't know how much of this we're going to be able to talk about, but it's an anime show.
Yeah.
That right out of the gate, as soon as it showed up, I'm like, well, this fucking annoys me. They give you their own version of the 3 laws of robotics.
Yes.
I vehemently dislike
iRobot right away.
But it's not. It's different rules. And I'm like, this is bullshit. Okay. Isaac Asimov took a lot of time to write those 3 rules, and those 3 rules are still perfect to this day. And I hate anything else that tries to fuck with those rules. Because if you remember, the 3 laws of robotics original are: a robot cannot harm a human being, robot should not harm itself, a robot cannot be forced to, a robot cannot put another human being to harm, and a robot cannot be asked to put another human being into harm, or if it's for its main job to be something that puts a human being into harm. So effectively, it comes down to it can't hurt a human, it can't hurt itself, it can't be told to hurt a human. This fucked around with those rules. It was a robot can't hurt a human. A robot, what the fuck was it? A robot needs to be useful.
I just saw it too.
Yeah, and it needs to be useful, and it needs to constantly be able to. If it realizes that it's unuseful, it needs to be put out to pasture. And I can't remember the third rule.
It's the rules I gave to my wife when I got married.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. See, the rules I gave to my wife were like hairless below the eyebrows. You better be bringing up another woman into this relationship, and I can't cook, so don't expect me to. See, and ladies, you wonder why I'm on Grindr, because my wife is just fucking sick of me.
No problems here.
No, I can't cook. You know what? I like to try, but
I like to believe that I can, but I don't.
I need recipes to be exact. Like, I fucking hate when it put in a dash of this or a sprinkle of this. That's why I like HelloFresh. Yeah. HelloFresh is perfect, man. They're so fucking exact. But then with HelloFresh, it's like, okay, now that you've got your fucking grated fucking oregano or whatever the hell it is, I'm like, well, how am I supposed to grate it? You give me this fucking thing of oregano. How the fuck
do they not grate this shit for you?
Some of it isn't. The one that I tried to do before wasn't. And I was like, I don't know what the fuck I'm supposed to do with this.
I didn't get a grater, an oregano grater.
But there's 100 different fucking types of graters. Fuck that shit.
That's true.
But all right.
I love those stores, by the way. I love those stores, by the way. The cooking stores, like I think Cook's Fine Foods downtown in Kingston, where I think it's that one where you can go in and it's just like displays upon displays of like cooking gadgets, and I'm just like, heaven.
I go in there and I'm like, what the fuck is that?
To you, it would be like a porn store, you know? If you walked in and they showed up like an adult superstore,
I'd want to go in and see like big busty like actual models on display. You're like, yes.
All right, so what is it called with whores? Just all lined up. You pick one.
Took me a minute to fucking clue in there. I'm like, yes, it would be Whores Are Us, and there would just be different whores that I can choose from down every aisle.
What do you call that?
But all right, back to Eden. So I didn't like that they fuck with the laws of robotics. Shit, I wrote it down here too. Oh fuck. Hold on. I did like that the show has the animation has a real Borderlands vibe to it. It looks like that game Borderlands.
I do like the choices of colors.
So do I. Yeah, I really like the animation stuff.
Right.
I think it's really neat looking.
Yeah.
The robots are very cool to look at.
Mm-hmm.
And effectively what it comes down to is humans haven't existed, it said, I think, for 1,000 years. And robots have effectively set up, it kind of looks like farms on different parts of maybe whatever planet they're on. You don't know if it's Earth. You don't know what the fuck it is. But robots have set up these areas where they harvest apples is the one thing that you see these two robots harvesting. And right out of the gate, I was saying to myself, why are they harvesting apples?
I can tell you it's in the second episode. If you're not going to watch it,
that was the first thing that I was like, I'm sure it must go somewhere, but I'm like, what's a robot going to do with fucking apples? But they discover this. Are
you going to watch more?
Like, I enjoyed it enough, to watch more.
Okay, then I won't tell you.
Yeah, don't spoil it for me. So what I got to was they discover this little pod. The little pod has a little girl named Sarah. The robots take over looking after Sarah. They take her to an area where the bad guys that look like a bad guy for the Power Rangers decides that.
I hated that choice.
He looks like if there was a show, and I wish I should have fucking looked it up before this. There was a show called Captain Power, and I believe Captain Power: The Warriors of Justice. Do you remember the bad guy was this old dude?
Captain Power. He's our hero. No, that's Captain Planet. I'm thinking Captain Planet.
Captain Planet was Captain Planet. No.
He's our hero. Gonna take pollution down to zero.
All right. That's Captain Planet. No, remember Captain Power had the jets? It had like little planes that you put your guy in and you would fire at the TV and it would fire back at you. I believe it was called Captain Power and the Warriors of Justice. It was when I was super fucking
It's young. Ringing a small bell because I think I watched it, but I can't remember it.
The bad guy in that show was like Dr. Death or something. And he was this dude all covered in black, big black cape, had a big red eye, like fucking eye thing over his eye. Yeah, right. It was something like that. And that's who this fucking bad guy in Eden reminded me of. He reminded me of this Dr. Death or whatever his name is. But Dr. Death, they leave. They go to somewhere where they're not going to find him. Sarah grows up. She's like fucking 16, I guess, maybe.
Yeah, and then she gets tits.
Yeah, and then which was a little distracting. The very first time you see
it was. I'm like, definite anime choice, and they do continue that anime choice.
Okay.
They just keep on show. Yeah, there was honestly could have done this anime show without it, like covered up.
It wouldn't have made a difference.
Wouldn't have made a difference, but every scene you just see cleavage that anatomically made sense because one boob is slightly bigger than the other.
Okay.
You never see that in anime.
There's a scene where she right at the start of the show where she busts out of this fucking door and she looked and the camera is like right down her shirt, and I was like, oh, that's fucking distracting.
Yeah, there are some weird camera angles that is there for anime's sake.
Yep, for the hentai. Or
that's why it's PG, and you go to Rule 34 to find out more.
Oh, that's right. Rule 34 at netflixweekly.com.
No. The
inside scoop.
And anyway, the animation
scoops. Imagine what you'd learn about that with Rule 34.
Animation is not great. On there. The animation is great. They get to it really fast in episode 1. Yeah. I wanted that to be a little bit more prolonged. Like I wanted more of like the everyday robot tasks, what's going on in the world, and then eventually they go off site or something for some stupid like it doesn't matter what the reason would be, like oh I got off course and I'm a robot, blah blah blah, and I find you, and I thought they were gonna find this pod in the cave.
I was okay with that. I just wonder why we jump from Sarah's 3, maybe when they first find her, and then she grows up with them and we see how they're getting used to it, blah 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 blah, and then maybe she's 4, and then she's 18, and I'm like, okay, it would have been fun to see even just a montage of her growing up.
I won't ruin anything in episode 2, but they do say at one point in episode 2 that she's technically an adult.
Okay.
So I don't know what they consider technically an adult. I think once you hit puberty is what they're going with. That's what I'm thinking.
That's why I figured just by looking at like 15, 16.
I would say 16, 15. Yeah. But the puberty can be as early as 9. So like, that's what it was taught to us back in the day. So I'm sure the only other earlier.
The only thing I could say that kind of not annoyed me, but I was like, this seems like a weird choice, is why are the robots have gender specific voices? And then it's the girl robot that ends up doing the majority of taking care of Sarah and the start. I'm like, it would have been better if they both had
gender roles, for sure.
Yeah, if they just had robot voices. You know what I mean? Instead of having very
generic robot
specific
1,
voices.
Generic robot 2. Yeah.
Exactly.
It would make more sense.
I get that she says mama papa, but would have been funny if it was like mama papa to each of the robots, and they look at each other like, fuck, I guess. I know why you're the girl. I know why I'm the guy. Because we're robots. We don't have a gender. That for me just kind of like, this seems like a stupid decision. But so far it's enjoyable. It's only 4 episodes. They're only about 25 minutes long each one.
From what it looked like, from the going into episode 2, I feel like there's still going to be like 8 episodes.
Yeah, it could be. Maybe it's going to be one of those ones that comes out like every month.
You never know. I don't know. I didn't look into it that much. It's my job, but
Should be looking at horse and trying to figure out OBS.
It could have been much better.
Okay.
The show, like I think they're jumping to things, and they're not making it mean much.
You think that maybe it's because they, like Netflix said, hey, you only got 4 episodes, so make it fucking count. You know what I mean?
Maybe it was like one of those proof of concepts, like they're trying to prove them. Yeah, like you're saying, like maybe they only get 4 episodes, but that seems very odd for Netflix to do. Like, how often do you see a 4 episode show unless it's a documentary?
Or unless it's like a fucking British show, but then those 4 episode seasons are like, for each show is like an hour and a half.
Yeah. I wouldn't surprise me if it has a following and enough of a following for them to go ahead and turn it and make it a bigger season 2.
I will say that much more than this show, I absolutely love the first season, and I'm not binge watching the second season, even though I should, because all the episodes are only about 10 minutes long, is Love, Death, and Robots. I
haven't gotten into
fucking
it yet.
love. Oh, it is so good,
I
and
have
they're
a
all different. The animation is wonderful.
I have a problem when it's um different stories for each episode. I do this
Oh, see, I love
for
that.
Love, Death, and Robots because each episode is a different time frame too. It's
Yep.
just like whatever it is, and
A different time frame and sometimes vehemently different animation style.
but I'll give you an
You know?
example. It's like what is it called? Black Mirror
Black Mirror.
is a great series. I'm surprised they haven't done a third. What is it? Third to fourth season?
I thought it
Whatever.
was fifth, but
The
maybe I'm
next
wrong.
one. But like the last season that they did, I didn't even get through all of them. I've still got like a couple episodes to watch, but I'm just like, nothing is pulling me into it, saying like, oh, coming from the last episodes, I have to watch the next one. There's no
Yeah.
cliffhangers or anything. I'm just like,
For me, I keep on mixing up the British and the American because there's an American version of Black Mirror and then there's a British version of Black Mirror, and I keep on mixing the fucking two of them together. I'm like, oh no, I've seen this entire series. Then I'm like, oh shit, here's 4 shows I haven't fucking
the
seen.
American one is on Netflix Canada
So
and
we
the
can
US,
watch
I
it
guess.
and review it on Netflix Weekly grinder
It was made for Netflix
tumblr
in the US.
com.
So Netflix
All right.
makes it. So if they do another season, we can watch them.
Woo!
For the show. But okay. So Eden, you watched the first. Okay. I don't care to watch more, to be honest. Like it could have been much more. It five
I
out
would
of
rather watch Love, Death, and Robots than more Eden. Put it that way.
55 out of 100.
I will give it, for what I've seen so far, I would give it 40 horrors out of 100 horrors.
And I don't think even this one has ratings yet either. No, we're too
Really?
soon. Yeah.
Son of a bitch.
Usually there is,
Well,
but
maybe they're waiting for us to review it.
Yeah, our reviews goes up first as critic reviews. That'd be hilarious. Like they're actually watching. Oh well, we would tell you that we're watching, but you keep mentioning horrors.
Can we have just Phil and just cut out that other one?
No, it would be more like if they really got involved in our show, they'd be like, we'd like to sponsor you guys, but can you just not say horrors and cut out most of the swearing and please
and
be
you would be like
aware.
You know, I think we can do that. And I'd be like, no, god damn you.
I'd have to give you
ripping my fucking,
you and I would have to have a
what I'm
long talk.
built to say. You bastards. I'm not going to be some corporate shill.
Yes, for money.
You know what I'll say? You know what? Let me have my own Netflix inspired horror. So give me a couple of horrors and then I'll stop talking about horrors on the show.
No, if you had the money that they give you, you could afford one.
But like, I want a
one more than you
given to
have.
me from Netflix.
Oh well, that
and I wanted to just wear around a shirt. They're huge tits that just says Netflix and chill.
that ends up being what they give you. They just give you a shirt with huge tits on it. that was his compensation. That's all we had to do, really.
Right.
Yeah, so there's no ratings. I won't go back.
Yeah, I probably won't. But I'm definitely going to watch Love, Death, and Robots.
My son likes it.
Yeah, my boy. Maybe it's just because he didn't want to go to bed.
Speaking of which,
this show's really interesting.
That first season of Love, Death, and Robots, when I was first going to watch it, I had my son sit down with me, and I was like, "Oh, let's watch Love, Death, and Robots." That first episode, I'm like, turned it off. Nope, you can't watch this with me. I'm sorry.
The episode with the 3 robots, there's a bit more swearing than I wanted, but where it's the 3 robots going through the dystopian apocalypse, and they meet the cat, and the cats have taken over the world. They thought that was just great. But then, yeah, after that one, there was a couple more that I started watching. I'm like, oh, we'll skip this one. We'll skip this. All right, this is one we'll watch. We'll skip this one.
I think that first episode had something that was like either bloody or some sort of blood or sex in it. Yeah. I was just like, yep, that's not, no.
That I think you'll find I can't remember the name. It's got 3 robots in it that all just kind of chatter with each other. I'm sure he get a fucking huge kick out of that. The boys thought it was just fun.
I plan to watch it at some point when I'm bored and I've got nothing else to watch. I'm just going I'll throw it on. But today I discovered that I watched somewhat through Black Summer and forgot to watch the rest of it.
The hell's Black Summer?
It's like it's a zombie apocalypse TV show that's on Netflix.
Never heard of it.
And you might be interested to watch it. So maybe we'll keep that as homework as an honorable mention. But like they're doing a second season.
Better have nudity.
Yes, there's lots of nudity. They're constantly nude during the whole show.
And if it's a Netflix show, that means you're going to have a token gay character and a token dead parents.
There's a token Asian character and a token white person lead, of course.
Oh, racist.
So next week,
where does this screw come from?
You'll tell us next week. Next week we'll do a little bit of an honorable mention for Black Summer on Netflix. You writing?
I'm here. I'm just writing shit down.
Okay, I was wondering if you were just looking at the screw. Really,
watching
really,
my chair
really looking apart. At it. Like, where does this come from? That's what you're gonna do as soon as we're done here. The big review that we're gonna do next week is something you mentioned before. Sweet Tooth, the little kid with the horns.
Oh, that's right. Yep. Okay,
it's another big Netflix movie. I think it's a series, actually.
Is it?
It looked like a movie at first, but I think it's a series.
Well, it better have only 4 shows like Eden does.
Who knows? It's Netflix.
They do what they want. They're reckless.
Black Summer,
animals,
Sweet Tooth, and whatever crazy things you mentioned as well.
Cruel Black Summer.
That'll be episode 18 of Netflix Weekly.
Bananarama singing Cruel Black Summer.
At netflixweekly.com, which doesn't work. So go to Netflix Weekly's Reddit.
Or our comments. Facebook. You're covering Facebook, right?
Instagram. And Twitter. And Reddit. And Spotify. Are we on podcasts on Apple yet?
Oh, not yet. No. But we will be so I have like my one I have and nobody cares about this, so everybody's tuned out by now, but I have one credit card that I just use for like
you have to pay to get on
you have to pay, not Apple, but like for the podcast, the hosting site, right? Buzzsprout, that all of our stuff is hosted, like that I upload the stuff to.
Oh, you didn't use a free one?
No. The free ones I find you can only get like 2 hours of fucking audio a month type of thing.
Put on advertising,
right?
Randomly.
But so I use this credit card that I just keep for shit like this, right? And it's got like a super low limit, like a fucking $200. And I forgot that I bought the table that our computer sits out there on. I totally forgot that I bought it on that card. So I got this thing that, your podcast can't renew. I'm like, son of a bitch. So I paid the entire card off today. And then tomorrow
you're telling me that you bought a personal table on our Netflix Weekly corporate card?
And I have Netflix Weekly right across it. Let me hold it up and show everyone.
Custom card. Yeah, it was 389. Woo! I could buy a table.
Hey, look, Phil, someone in Russia bought 4 trucks using our Netflix Weekly card.
It's Russia. They can afford 8 whores for that price.
Right? Russian whores. Who knows if they're going to be male or female?
Oh, my goodness.
All right.
Thanks for coming, people.
Yep. Thanks to everybody. Follow us on Netflix Weekly at Twitter, Grindr, Tumblr, MySpace, Facebook,
we're
Twitter,
not on
Twitch.
We got
to get on Twitch, man. We got to do something on Twitch.
We are technically on Twitch, but there's nothing there. We're working on it really slowly.
Yeah.
I logged into OBS with Twitch today, so we're getting there.
There you go.
I have to learn how to do like
episode
scenes.
55. Episode 50. Welcome to Twitch.
I know it's easy to do the Twitch thing with OBS. I don't know it yet. So I looked into it right before the show today and I was like, I have no clue what this means. How do I do just this box that's like just the 2 of us so we can just stream at least that? We'll get there.
I'll be like, what are emojis? What do these kids say me? What does STFU mean?
Yeah,
Are
it'll
they
be
call me old man or you an old man?
guaranteed once we do start doing Twitter for fun, like the live show. First, we're gonna have to be a little bit more careful, and two,
Fuck that shit. There's naked people on Twitch. Why do I have to be more careful?
there isn't. They even cut out the hot tubbers now.
There's hot tubbers on Twitch?
Well, there was this big, we're like past the credits now. There's this big conspiracy, like not conspiracy, this big issue where people always toe the line of what they can do on whatever service, right? They're like,
Right.
they want to like hit that limit and try to do whatever they push it or try to do whatever they can within the limits, right? So hot tub streamers became the thing because those women would have their tops covered by a bikini and be in water like a hot tub, and it would be like, oh, she's wet and she's scantily clad, but she's still covered, so it's okay for Twitch, right?
I've seen some where there's girl gamers that are like playing a game, like the game's up in the top corner, and they're wearing like next to nothing. Their tits are just hanging right the fuck out, and you know what I mean, like a fucking string bikini,
still covered.
Okay, that's what, yeah. I saw that, and I'm like, this is fucking stupid.
The rules were that your nipples have to be covered. For a good time, you couldn't have like belly button or something like that. I know for men, the same adage, the same rules apply. So if a guy was topless and his nipple was out, he would that channel would get a strike.
Oh shit.
Yeah.
So if I say fuck all the time on it, then
I think swear words are fine, unless like you get age gapped, I guess. But you wouldn't be able to show your nipples anymore.
Oh, Jesus Christ! What's the point?
And no hot tubbing, no obvious sexual.
How about next time my chair will be broken, I'll like bend over, my ass in the air, filling the whole fucking camera, me trying to fix my chair. My chair's stuck.
There's someone who got in trouble for throwing their dog or kicking their dog like aside. You know how some people they'll just like, I don't know how bad it was. Like I know someone got in trouble for going like this to their dog, and like it's like basically throwing your dog. That's abusive, depending on what your dog's landing on, I guess, you know. If I were to throw my dog over here, like, I'm sorry, it's not abusive because there's a bed there, like, you know what I mean? But if you were to throw it over your shoulder and like a Continental Soldier and it landed
if you throw it and it hits the fucking wall before it's flying down,
that's
then it might be a problem.
But yeah, someone got in trouble for that. Someone got in trouble for just shooing their dog away with their foot. I don't know how hard they hit the dog, but like that was hit. So like even times where Twitch will ban you or take down your thing for a while for not, you won't be given a reason, which I don't agree with at all. You should always get a reason if they're gonna go to that.
That'll happen to us.
I guarantee it. Yeah, that's why once we do Twitch, we have to be a little bit more careful with the whores.
For my whores talk. Because there's 12-year-olds that could be watching,
and we don't monetize YouTube yet, so nothing's really much of a problem. Once we're able to monetize later on in the future, when we're episode 186, and we actually have people viewing it, it'll become an issue. Even political subjects will become an issue. You'll be like hidden from society.
That's the world we want to live in.
I mentioned Jerusalem or something, and just saying that will have the algorithms going, oh, he said Jerusalem, he can't be anywhere near kids.
The Netflix closing quote should be, remember, the number one enemy of progress is questions. Never question anything.
Yeah, that's what my wife keeps telling me.
Great. All right. So thanks to everybody who watched this, and we'll see you next time on episode 18 with Black Swan. What are we watching? Black Summer?
If we watch Black Swan, I quit.
by Black Swan by Bananarama and Sweet Tooth. All right. Bye, everybody.
Black Summer. Bye. Bye. Summer. Bye. Summer.